Oh, we're live. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm really good at this point. I
You
don't know if you know this.
are. You should be
I
proud.
am a professional. So, hello,
Yeah.
everyone. Well, normally it makes a ding noise. It didn't make a ding this time.
We. You're like a Pavlovian dog.
Yeah, I need to hear
I
the
need a.
ding.
I need a tone to know when to be a person.
Yeah. Otherwise, like if I wasn't in front of you people, I'd be just autistically staring at a wall, 24 hours a day. So yeah, I'm Hugo. That's Jake. We're here to talk about Netflix's newest Defenders series, Luke Cage, and what we
Oh,
thought about it. There are going to be spoilers. We'll probably start out with a non-spoilery thing, but
hella spoilers. But yeah, if you
yeah,
haven't watched it, why are you here?
yeah. I mean, unless you just like giving us ad money and listening to the sounds of our voice, which I understand, so I respect that.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. So, I guess, quick rundown. In news, they did show a trailer for Iron Fist yesterday that we didn't get to on the podcast because
Yeah,
it was late.
yeah, it was weird. I kind of wish they hadn't done that. Although I guess now we have that to talk about too at the end of this, which is
Right.
good because there's a lot of Easter eggs in Luke Cage. Luke Cage might be the most Easter egg filled of the Marvel series so far, like by far. And near the end, there's some Iron Fist stuff that they hint at, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Overall, before we get into spoilers, my sort of headline for Luke Cage is it's not my favorite Marvel series. I liked Daredevil and Jessica Jones more, but it's
Mhm.
still good compared to most of the stuff on television. Compare it to like The Flash, for instance.
Don't even
Still-
compare it. No, don't compare it to the Flash. The Flash is
Well,
garbage.
That's what I'm saying. It's still a quality show. I thought it had some weaknesses in the villain department near the end of the show, and if you've seen it, you
Oh,
know
yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, still excellent show. Great music choices. Still directed
was-
beautifully.
It was
Good
one
show.
of those. It was the most comic booky of the three series that we have so far. I think.
Yeah. As the shows go on, I noticed this too about Daredevil season 1 was more grounded, and then season 2 got much more comic booky. Jessica Jones was pretty close to the source material, except for all
Yeah.
the other superheroes being around. Like the character was still pretty much the same. But yeah, Luke Cage definitely. It feels like it's getting more and more comic booky as it goes, which I'm fine with because these are origin stories in a comic book universe, so I don't mind it. But
Yeah,
all right.
it was corny and campy, and man, it was definitely a transplant from the 70s. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like it was clear they were still going to maintain the source, regardless of when it's placed on the timeline of history. And man, it kind of made it cool in a way, if that makes sense. Like at first I was like, ugh, I don't know if I'm going to like that. But then it just sort of it keeps going, and they kind of poke fun at it, and I liked it. I think that character works.
I'm actually, even though not my favorite show, the fact that they were able to transplant a character, and I know this has been done in the comics too. I know that Luke Cage is ongoing and he has evolved over time, but Luke Cage is a character that in its original form is so of the time. It's hard to take that and translate it, but they took sort of this comic icon of black 70s black exploitation comic book thing that was used at the time to talk about issues in black neighborhoods. They did, PSA comics with him about drug use and inner city crime and stuff. And they've taken that concept and they've used it to talk about issues now in urban places in America in the black community. And I
thought it was done well too.
That's hard to do, honestly.
Because all too often in this type of thing, it'll be a single voice from one perspective. But it was it took head on. It took on like Black Lives Matter and police violence and shit like that. And like you had Luke Cage on the one hand, and then Misty the detective on the other, and they're talking about why both of their jobs are hard, and it was totally valid. And it never once felt like we're victims. It was always like, yeah, bad shit happens, but some of that's on us and some of that's on you, and I don't know, it conveyed its message well without being preachy at all. And if you thought it was preachy, it's probably just because you get butthurt easy.
It was good. It handled things more deftly than I thought it was going to.
Agreed.
Which is good.
I thought it was going to be hammering us over the head with like Trayvon Martin happened, but it didn't at all.
No,
There was one mention of that kind of shit, and that was the Method Man thing, which I thought was great.
Yeah, that was good. I don't, and the thing is, I don't normally like rap hip hop music. I don't know anything about Wu-Tang Clan. And if you watched our episode where I talked about the Luke Cage trailer right before it came out, I referred to Method Man as old dirty bastard.
You said old dirty bastard, which doesn't make it. He's been dead for ages.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that.
Method Man.
So, but the music choices and how they were used, and the fact that Method Man showed up and he did a verse about Luke Cage, it was good. It was interesting. Now, the show starts out different than a lot of Marvel shows. Felt much slower. And in part, I give it credit in the sense that it allowed itself to breathe and set up the situation. But I do think the first 2 episodes probably could have been condensed into one.
We needed
too much.
It should have started at Crispus Attucks to kind of get you into the fight.
Yeah.
You know, and like, oh yeah, this is, and then kind of work its way from that point forward.
Yeah.
Not like a record scratch. Like, yeah, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got in this position. But they kind of did that in episode 2, where it was the before of that, and then they didn't really address it again until the end, which was good. But yeah, it needed more violence in the first couple episodes to kind of get you into the, okay, this is Luke Cage again. Because when we saw Luke Cage last in Jessica Jones, he cracks skulls like every time he shows up.
Right. It's the first 2 episodes, one of the things too, it really fell into some of these tropes. Marvel shows love to kill the old black mentor. What is up with that? Did you notice that Daredevil season 1?
You knew Pops was dead immediately.
You're
like, oh, that guy's gonna be the motivation for a little bit.
You know it. It's not even close. It's not even like, oh, I wonder if he's gonna die. You'd be like, me and my girlfriend and I, literally, because we watched it together, we were like, I was like, I bet he's dead by episode 2, and she goes, I bet he's dead by the end of this one. And I think it was 2 or 3. I don't remember.
It was 3, I thought.
Oh, was it 3?
Or was it the very end of 2?
I don't even remember. But you knew.
Well, no, 3 was Crispus Attucks. So yeah, I think it was by episode 2.
Yeah,
which is weird. I don't know. Like, keep that character around for a little bit, and like, then you can use it once we're invested. I don't know. I thought that was hurried.
Right. Speaking of Crispus Attucks, I don't even know this guy's name. I know he's a real guy. I'm a piece of shit. Like someone said in the comments, I'm the whitest guy. I don't know anything about Black history. I'm a garbage.
Why would you specifically know a lot about Harlem history?
I don't know. That's not even Harlem history. Isn't he just like a...
What?
See, I don't even know what he is. I don't know.
Like all these people, like, okay, so there was a point in time called the Harlem Renaissance.
Right.
And it bred a lot of it was like a 50s, 60s thing, and it bred a lot of like culture as far as music and poetry and writing, and that's, I mean, like most famous Black artists from before the 80s are from Harlem. And so that's really what they were knocking on the whole time, and that's why they used Harlem as like this paragon of what do they say, like Black excellence or something like that, or whatever the term is they use. And it's true, like that's kind of like culturally the heart of a lot of Black media, I suppose, is the best way to do it. But yeah, so they name drop, but it was in a way that it didn't make you assume that you should know that already. Like this isn't common knowledge by a lot of people.
Anyway, so when he goes in and he breaks in there in episode 3 or whenever it is, this is basically their version of the hallway fight from Daredevil. I don't think Jessica Jones had something like that, but Daredevil season 1 and 2 had hallway fights.
No, just
You are totally frozen. I don't think anyone can hear you. You are totally
apartment fight.
You need it. No one understands you. No one can hear you. So how you guys doing? Good? All right. Ugh. Okay, so Jake's gone for a while. I'll talk about what I wanted to talk about. Okay, so when he goes to the Crispus Attucks Center or whatever, and it's their hallway fight, this version of the hallway fight, I didn't think it worked as well as it did in Daredevil for the reason of he is too indestructible. And this is sort of a problem that plagues a lot of superheroes when you get to this level. It's not... When Daredevil fights, you know there are stakes because he's just a dude who can see things without seeing them. He just does karate. He could be killed very easily. Luke Cage, on the other hand, has sort of Superman syndrome, at least when there's not like friends at stake. His issue is that if anything happens to him, nothing happens to him. I mean, of course, they find contrived ways later in the series to hurt him. But at the end of the day, you shoot him, nothing happens. So in a way, this break-in, which is supposed to be this big apex sort of climax, this is the hallway fight of the season, is no longer interesting because he just walks through. And without conflict, a story isn't interesting. And in this episode, that was the main plot point of the story, and it was less interesting because there was no danger involved for the protagonist. Now, that doesn't make it a bad episode. It was still pretty badass watching him do that, but it's not like thrilling. Does that make sense? It made for a great trailer. You remember that first trailer when it came out, and it had that song. I don't know who sings it again. I'm Really White. It gets you hyped up to see the show, but when you realize this is the biggest action set piece in the show, and you're actually watching it without the music and without the cuts as an elongated scene, it's not thrilling. It's not interesting because there aren't stakes. Oh, Jake's back. Hi, Jake. How you doing?
Hi. I didn't lose internet connection at all.
Oh, that's weird.
That is weird.
Anyway, what I was talking about to these people was I was explaining that hallway fight scene. These people, the ones that showed up. These people, I was telling them that the hallway fight from this show isn't as interesting because there are no stakes. He's indestructible, and it's too easy for him. But I stretched that out over like 2 minutes because you weren't here, so you're welcome.
Did you acknowledge the fact that Jessica Jones did indeed have a hallway fight?
I didn't remember what that was.
It was the when she looks in through the skylight and Kilgrave is watching like soccer or some shit.
Oh, I didn't.
She has to fight through that whole house,
it's
and
just
they're
like
all mind controlled. I mean, of course, it's just like it's still a hallway fight. She fights in hallways.
Okay,
Anyways.
fine. I'll give it a pass, but sure.
You have to because it's accurate. And
someone asked, "Are we going to finish Jessica Jones?" Not in that format. No. When Defenders comes out, we'll tackle it. Honestly, when Jessica Jones season 2 comes out, we'll probably at the beginning of that live stream talk about the first season, just because the way we used to do the Daredevil show and Jessica Jones for part of it took way too long to edit, and we just don't have the time to do it. So that's why we do it this way now. It's a little less polished, but at the very least, it gets done. So that's why we're doing that.
Also, the discussion's better it turned out after the first Daredevil season, like we were like there's moments in those seasons where there's not much to talk about. It's just like fun. So we just skipped around. What was I going to say about the indestructibleness? Yeah, I guess it was kind of refreshing though, in a way, to know that he couldn't be hurt for a little bit.
No, I know.
It was because it wasn't like it didn't treat it like the Daredevil fight. It treated it like, okay, now he's gonna just fucking steamroll these bitches, and does so in a montage.
I likened it to Superman syndrome, where you have to come up with contrived ways to make him care or to hurt him. In the case of either kryptonite or the Judas bullets, which actually the Judas bullets are a good way to get around it.
They were in Iron Man 3.
What were?
The Judas bullets were in Iron Man 3. Justin Hammer picks one up and goes, "This is the Judas."
Iron Man 2.
Was it 2?
Yeah, he's in 2.
Was 3 the one with the fire fist guy?
Yes.
Garbage. You're right,
no,
2.
that wasn't. That was a bunker buster. I don't think it was called the Judas.
No, it was called the Judas because I remember him talking about it.
Oh, see, that's cool.
And it bounced right off Iron Man.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. I guess I don't. All the Hammer weapons references I loved. I loved that they're referencing. This show had.
They should have got Sam Rockwell just for a minute.
Well, he's in prison. Actually, this is a fun fact too. Because after the events of Iron Man 2, Justin Hammer went to prison. The prison he went to is the same prison that Luke Cage went to. So maybe he'll show up in the future. I doubt it, but we'll see.
That would have been great. Like just a minute of Justin Hammer would have been cool. How did you feel about the backstory thing? Like, because it was different, right?
When he's in prison and he gets experimented on. No, that's the same. The reason is different. I think
the reason is different. That's what I meant.
In the comic, the comics change a lot. But I think the one that I'm familiar with is that they were trying to reproduce the super soldier serum, which is what Captain America had. That's also in the MCU. That's what the Hulk did as well. Here, they don't make it totally clear exactly the motive, but I would guess because this is Defenders, they're going to tie it into IG, what is it, IGH or something? No,
I don't know what that is.
And remember at the end of Jessica Jones, they basically found out that there was a company that paid for Jessica's medical bills and stuff because that's...
yeah.
And I'm assuming they'll tie it all together, and the chemicals that spilled on Daredevil are probably the same chemicals that made all of them. And Kilgrave, because Luke Cage's dead wife, Reva,
were they ever actually married?
I think so. I was
they didn't go through that. And by the end of the season, he's like very, I mean, not anti-Reva, but obviously he's not pro.
Yeah, that was interesting. I'm not sure where they stand at this point. Maybe I need to watch this again, but clearly she knows stuff. She's involved in this program which Luke didn't know at the time, but she did help him escape, which makes me think she did kind of change her ways by that point. But she had a flash drive with his info on it, and she's also the one who had the flash drive with Kilgrave's info on it and the experimentation on him. So I'm assuming they're related, the projects, whatever they may be. And I assume that'll come together in Defenders. I don't know if Iron Fist will have anything to do with that because he's more mystical in nature, not scientific. So I don't know if they'll do something with that or what.
I don't know. The effect for the fist on Iron Fist was cool, by the way.
Oh yeah, I like.
Side note.
Yeah. Instead, normally in the comics he has like a flame fist, which would look kind of stupid in the show in live action, but it was a good compromise. Just that it internally glows. It's a good
energy fist thing. It usually has like yellow fire around it. I don't know if I'm a big fan of Claire's character being in every single one of these or not.
Really, I liked her in this. I mean, honestly,
I liked her in this, but she's obviously she's confirmed for Iron Fist. She was in Jessica Jones, although that was more to do with Luke, anyways, I guess. And obviously, she's been in the Daredevil seasons. Man, I don't know. It's kind of the Star Wars syndrome where you're making the universe really fucking small.
I get what you're saying. Okay, sure. Well, in fairness, they all live kind of in. I mean, he lives in Harlem now. But most of the stuff is Hell's Kitchen based, which honestly, if you look at a map of New York, it's not that big of an area. So,
no, I know, but I mean, why would she always be in the middle of the same shit over and over? And it's whatever. But also, did you notice the Easter egg at the end when she grabbed the self-defense thing?
Yeah, that's if you remember in the trailer from Iron Fist, the woman with the katana on her back. That's the name, her character's name. Oh, I had it up. Colleen Wing.
Yes.
The teacher of the class that Claire pulled, which I'm sure is how she'll get involved in Iron Fist. So
well, Colleen Wing has to be like, they were saying that she's going to have to be a pretty strong character because of like Sigourney Weaver is going to be the villain in Iron Fist.
And no, Defenders.
Is it Defenders? And not Iron
she's the
Fist?
big bad in Defenders. Yeah,
the big bad. Like
well, you know what? Yeah.
No, that'll be interesting. I don't know. There's a lot of Luke Cage stuff that, I mean, clearly it's all coming together, especially with the, I mean, he's going to need lawyer help. Why don't they just ever, like, why do they keep blue balling us on the Matt and Foggy show up and help a person? Why don't they just do it?
Here's what I think. They're saving it for Defenders. And I almost talked about this in the last episode of Unpop, just the normal, weekly thing, but I saved it because this is spoilery. At the end, when Luke gets arrested, because Luke gets arrested and is going to go to jail, and then Claire's like, I know a really good lawyer. So we're supposed to assume Matt's going to show up. And
it's not going to be? You think it's going to be Jessica Jones' lawyer thing?
No, here's what well, kind of. Because honestly, Claire knows Matt. Matt hasn't done a lot of good lawyering. In fact, because of his Daredevil stuff, he's kind of
foggy.
Yeah. I think it's going to be, Luke, maybe she'll show up and be like, Luke, I brought a lawyer. And you're going to be like, it's going to be Matt. And then it's going to be Foggy and he'll walk in. And he's working, if you remember, at the end of Jessica Jones. Yeah, end of Jessica Jones.
Daredevil Season 2.
Oh, you're right. At the end of Daredevil Season 2, Foggy leaves Nelson and Murdoch and goes to work for Jerry Hogarth's law firm. So it would kind of make sense because now he has the clout probably to get things done.
And if you guys don't know who Jerry Hogarth is, that's Lesbian Trinity.
yes, it is. God, what else in this show? There's a lot to take in about this show. The thing that weakens the show, and I know Stryker. Oh, yes,
the bad guy. What the fuck?
Diamondback. I don't think of him as the
Oh,
real name.
he calls him Striker more than he calls him Diamondback.
I know,
Shades
but I
calls
did
him
the same.
Diamondback.
I did the same
Shades
thing.
was actually my favorite character, by the way.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know. He's okay. I saw other people being like, "Oh, I loved Shades." Why? He didn't do anything. He's just kind of
Because
a douche.
I don't know, he had that sort of, he was clearly scheming the whole time. I don't know.
I guess he got his ass beat in the end by Claire and Misty, but
What
sure.
does that have to do with anything?
I don't know. He just doesn't have a lot.
Okay, the guy that big-eared redhead shot was still one of the best characters in Daredevil season 1. You know what I mean? Like,
Fair. Okay. Sure.
why? Who cares who took him out?
All right. Anyway, so villain problems. Show started out with a relatively strong villain pairing. I liked it. It wasn't as good as Kilgrave. It wasn't as good as Kingpin, but Cottonmouth was shaping up to sort of be an interesting counterpart to Luke. Luke is a guy from the streets. He's like a very honest guy. He does honest work, just trying to get by. And then the villain is this guy Cottonmouth who schemes, and he's done, bad things to get where he is, to climb up from the bottom. It's that inverse American dream thing. You've seen that trope before.
He was also the lobbyist in House of Cards, whose name I'm forgetting, but he was great in that too.
And his cousin, what's her name? I'm terrible with names. Remember her name?
Remember Miranda? Was it Miranda?
I think it started with an M. Someone in the comments will tell us we're idiots, which they're right, but yeah. Anyway, she's the councilwoman for Harlem. And they made a good villain pairing because he's, the streets guy who does illegal things, and she's the politician who cares more about her own public image than she does about her constituents. Interesting villain pairing. That's fine.
Mariah,
cool. So then what happens around halfway through the series, I don't even remember exactly what episode it was, she pushes him out a window, and he dies. And I went, okay, so now is she going to be the main villain? Because that's kind of interesting. She clearly had parallels in her past to, like, their older relative who used to kind of run Harlem. Mama Maybell, I think is what her name was. And maybe she'll get more and more evil, which did happen. But then the focus shifts to Stryker, Diamondback, who I'm not interested in at all and doesn't have a compelling backstory.
Did you know that he was a knife villain in the original one?
That doesn't shock me.
But that suit was very true to the comics, by the way, at the very end in the last fight.
Yes, it was.
But yeah, he used to throw knives and shit, and I don't know how that would affect Luke Cage. Maybe you're really good at throwing knives. I don't know. And they're like, we can't do that. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Why would you have Diamondback though? I don't know.
Weird choice. And then he comes in. Turns out he's Luke Cage's half-brother, which I hate. This might be from the comics. I'm not sure. When I looked it up, though, it looked like they were just good friends growing up in the comics. And they changed it to half-brother, which is so... I hate when shows arbitrarily make the hero and the villain related. Like, Star Wars is the only one that can get away with that, and that was like in the 80s. If they did it now, dumb. Don't do that in Star Wars Episode 8. So, anyway... he comes in, not that interesting, just kind of generic bad guy, very thin motivation. Like, it makes sense. I get it. He's jealous because Luke, had the better upbringing, and he, because he was the preacher's son, he doesn't have to go to prison.
At first, he kind of had those 70s, like, joke, like, I don't know, like, can you dig it? And he quoted the Warriors for a little bit. Like, I thought, okay, yeah, that's interesting. And then he just kind of started being Bible quotey, which wasn't scary or anything.
No, because the difference is look at Kingpin. He did that in Daredevil season 1. At the very end, he told the story of the Good Samaritan, but it was creepy because of the performance.
Right.
This guy could not pull this off at all.
I have no idea why they chose to go in this direction. I think it would have been a much better season if you hold off the Cottonmouth thing and you think he's been the main threat the whole time, and then he just dies and you do the bait and switch with Mariah near the end. That's way better, and it's more cleverly written. I think that's really the big demerit that I think everyone's giving it, is there were 3 main villains in this, and the only ones that we cared about, like, one of them died and the other one ended up not doing anything.
Yeah, I don't understand. And then the ending fight, so disappointing. Oh, and someone pointed out, yeah, he did say bye, Felicia. That actually made me laugh. You might not like. I get not liking that, but that made me laugh because it was so unexpected. I was like, "What? Oh my god!"
Yeah, that was funny.
But then the end fight. So he shows up with. Okay,
they just punch each other.
This
you don't even talk about it. I don't even know why you're going into details.
this is a nerd continuity thing for me. Hammer Weapons has been trailing Tony Stark for years, and clearly their technology can't match up, and that was a big plot point in Iron Man 2. All of a sudden, Hammer Tech has a super suit that makes you like as strong and as invulnerable as Luke Cage. That's a pretty big deal if that's true.
Well, I mean,
but besides that,
it was kind of garbage, though, obviously.
Well, it was better than most of the things that they showed Hammer Tech to be in Iron Man 2. It also kind of looked dumb. I get they're trying to adapt from the comics, but that's not an excuse because Marvel...
it looked like Stanley Steamer.
Yeah, Marvel has been hitting... I'd say they're not batting 1,000, but they're at a solid 90% for solid costume adaptations. The only ones that have really failed are Captain America in the Avengers. It was a weird suit, and they fixed it immediately in the next one. And then Daredevil, at the very end of the first season, the helmet was weird, but they fixed that. This is just a terrible, weird, awkward costume design. And not only is the costume design bad, instead of the well-thought-out climaxes from the other shows in Daredevil Season 1, Wilson Fisk escaped. The fight at the end isn't what's interesting. It's the escape and Daredevil catching him, and they have a little fight, but, I mean, you could see how they could fight. It's a
discussion.
Yeah. Jessica Jones, even better. It wasn't about a physical fight because, of course, she outmatches Kilgrave. It's about tricking him and sacrifice and trying to, come to this conclusion with her character. That's good. Daredevil Season 2, all right, ended with a ninja fight on a roof at the end, but it was still interesting and interesting things happened.
Bureaucracy and cover up, and then also the unknown of that giant fucking pit.
Right.
Like it was more to do with what they didn't show you rather than what they did show you for the Season 2 ending. But this one was just gratuitous punch face, and it didn't work.
They just punched each other, and it was just Luke Cage versus evil Luke Cage in a suit. What? Mm-hmm. Why? Why is that where you go with this? You've done so well so far, and I know the shows have different writers, but I just can't even fathom why they thought, oh, we had this thing, had political intrigue with the councilwoman and all that stuff. Oh, how about they
the only one I didn't like.
Yeah, and that's not... I want to point out, this isn't Mike Coulter's fault, because I think he does a great job playing Luke Cage. Someone said earlier in the comments, I have been reading them, by the way. We haven't talked about him a lot, but I have been reading them. Someone said Luke Cage is like a boring character. I disagree. I mean, he's not like a thrilling character, but he has a strong character. You can see in his backstory and his actions, he's just an honest guy trying to do his best and reluctantly saving people.
He's got this well-educated, ideal kind of like we can be better mantra going on. I liked that. It was like, that's actually where DC Superman falls apart for most people. This is what Superman's kind of supposed to be like. Like, he's supposed to be idealistic and hopeful and know that people can be better and educate people when he gets the opportunity and kind of be the moral center. Like, that's fine with this, especially Luke Cage, who's always kind of been that. Yeah, so I thought that was a good adaptation for sure.
I think he's a stronger character than Matt Murdock, and I like Daredevil, but Matt Murdock is a pretty, I'm justice. I'm a ninja. Like, there's nothing wrong with him.
He's blind, poor Batman.
Yeah, he doesn't have that much of a personality. I think Luke Cage has more of a personality going on than Matt, honestly. Jessica Jones beats them both, though, because she has a really strong backstory, and I think Christian Ritter did a good job playing a damaged person dealing with, like, PTSD. That was good. Well, we have to see Iron Fist, so I can't comment on that yet. But out of all the criticisms of the show, criticizing the actual lead is the weakest to me, because I thought he did a great job, and he was like the highlight of the show.
I agree. I didn't like Zip at all.
Zip.
Which one is Zip? When you watch these, do you actually watch them?
Names have never been.
It's the black guy that, like, at first he's like roughing up the neighborhood, and then by the end he's the guy that takes over Shades, and then Shades kills him. The guy, he's got that face. And he's always like, I'm Zip. I got to do a lot of face things.
Okay, sure.
Fucking drives me crazy. I'm glad he's dead. I wish he would have died in episode 1. Just a half hour long of him fading away from AIDS.
One of my favorite characters that shows up again is Turk Stiltman.
He's still good. I hope he's never Stiltman.
See, honestly,
I think they broke his leg. I think they broke his legs in, was it season 1 or the end or season 2? They
I
broke his
never.
legs in one of those. I think it was on purpose to be like, "No, we're not doing that. He's just
Maybe
it's fine."
I like the character because he is sort of that unlikable character that you hate to like, but he is like charismatic in his own kind of scummy. I'm on the streets. I just got to make my living, man. You know, that kind
Well,
of
I
way.
even liked. I even liked. He was talking. Actually, he talks to Zip after Diamondback takes over, and I thought he had a really cool introspective line where he was talking about like, "Yeah, I'm doing business with this guy, but I'm not his bitch. Like, you're a piece of shit for working with him this closely because this guy's a bad dude." And so I thought that was interesting that even Turk has like limits.
Yeah. I loved all those lines. I like it. This is the first time he goes away. He's like, "I'm going back to Hell's Kitchen. It's safer." I just like the idea that he's going to go back to Hell's Kitchen to get beat up by Daredevil, and it's still
Yeah.
better than this. That was a good line. One
Yeah.
thing, this is stupid as all hell, but at the end of whenever they know they're going to be done, like maybe even at the end of Defenders, the
Sure.
show, like right before they're all about to be like go their own separate ways. It'd be funny if he did show up as Stilt Man, and they immediately beat his ass. Like
Or they're just like, no, what? That doesn't. Those are no, and then they just walk away, and he's like,
that'd be funny. Yeah.
"Come on." I don't know. Maybe they'll poke fun at that, or maybe he'll just be on stilts for some reason.
Yeah, they got to reference it at some point. I feel like they're setting that up to pay off.
I feel like the double broken legs was the reference, but
maybe.
I could be wrong. I'm trying to think of what else I didn't like from the series because there wasn't a lot I didn't like. I really liked the music. Like
Yeah,
all throughout it, the live performances were really cool.
I really like that. And
again, I'm neither of us are very big into hip hop, the hippity hop and the rap, but it set the tone really well. I don't know. It was just it didn't feel forced. Like usually that kind of thing feels forced, and I know that they forced it, but it didn't feel forced.
No, I actually think I saw a featurette before the show where I think Method Man actually had a hand in helping decide the soundtrack, which would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Him and someone else who's really in the music industry. But I don't know. It was good. I thought it set the mood. It transported you sort of to that mindset, to that world that is so far beyond anything that I've ever had to deal with, you know?
Yeah. Like superhero abalone shell skinned black dudes. I get it.
Yeah.
Not a lot of us experience that. How did you? I really hated the flashback hair of Mike Coulter. It was, I mean, at first it was clearly like a wig. It was super awful.
Okay.
But as it got bigger and more unkempt, it felt okay. But the very first thing you see him, it looks like he just put on this is a black people hair cap.
I get it. Isn't it?
It was so bad. If that's his real hair, I'm glad he always goes bald because it looked fake.
Doesn't Luke Cage originally have an afro? I'm assuming it was just supposed to be like a reference to that, especially by this point he already shaved, I think. But you see, remember, you talked about this already, but when he gets, I don't even know what to call it, when he gets Luke Caged in that
the tiara and the bangles and
the tiara, and then he goes and he trying to find clothes because he's like naked. He finds like a shirt that's like the terrible 70s deep to the belly button V yellow shirt.
That's one where you got to wear like a wife beater undershirt and like gold chains.
Yeah. And that was funny. That was a good reference. I'm still mad. I talked about this in the Unpop episode earlier this week. Why don't you give him a yellow t-shirt by the end? You don't even have to explain it like you do with Daredevil. Just give him a yellow shirt. Dumb.
You're so butthurt.
I
am.
That.
There's no reason. I guess it would have been okay. And the hoodie on the inside is yellow, but I think it's sort of. I think the idea here is that he isn't that guy yet. Like he's not a hero for hire.
I get it. I guess.
So and those are kind of the metamorphosis moments and storytelling, and I understand if they didn't want to do it, but at least they gave you the classic nods during that.
That was cool.
So
you're breaking up again. I don't know if they can see it or not. All right, you're gone. So, why you do this, Jake?
Claire again, just. Ooh, hear you.
This is the worst.
You there? Why?
Are
Why
you
is
there?
it? Yes.
You're the one who disappeared, man.
I never once didn't hear you. Are you drinking wine?
Yes.
What the fuck? Jesus.
I'm pre-gaming for the
No, you're
the debate. What's wrong with? There's nothing wrong with wine. Wine is delicious.
I have wine. It's okay, but like with dinner, just sip wine and talk about Luke Cage.
Well, that's what I'm doing. We were coming to do this. I was gonna have this, and then I'm gonna go like make burgers. So
burgers and wine. That makes sense. I'm Hugo. Burgers and wine. Fuck's sake, Hugo.
I don't need to justify my decision.
Are they turkey burgers with brie?
No, they're just
Christ
hamburgers.
Don't defile a hamburger with a white wine. That's not even the correct wine to use with red meat. I
don't like red wine, so.
Anyways.
So, Iron Fist, I guess. Let's talk about Iron Fist.
Iron Fist drinks beer with his burgers.
I don't like
beer. At least
have
the decency to. What about a cider? At least, come on.
I do like a cider now and again. Yeah. The red's all right.
Anyways, the correct answer is a nice amber ale with a burger. But anyways, maybe I'll get Five Guys later. That sounds delicious.
Oh, I want Five Guys. That burgers are delicious.
Gotta move down. There's a house available down the street from me. Come live near me, Hugo. We can eat Five Guys every day and die tomorrow.
I'll think about it.
All right. Yeah. Do you think they're gonna do a Luke Cage Iron Fist? Because I would love that.
Oh, my theory is that they're gonna do this season of Luke Cage, next one season of Iron Fist, and then they'll parlay them into Heroes for Hire. By the way, great Heroes for Hire references during this show as well. And then at the end, I love that they have the barbershop, Pop's Barbershop, and they're like, it's not going to be that forever or whatever. It's wanting to be something else.
Is it just going to be the agency that they do that from, or is it going to be like, because he was a bartender before, right?
Yeah, I
know they did the bar thing in Jessica Jones, but are they going to redo that, or?
I assume he's going to turn into Heroes for Hire and then live there.
Yeah,
I don't know though.
Probably. I assume that's what they're leading up to, but I just didn't know.
Did I mention about Misty Knight's arm, by the way, for people who don't know?
I mentioned it when I faded away, apparently.
Oh, Misty Knight in the comics, she has a robot arm that Tony Stark makes for her because she loses her arm, and in this show she gets shot in the arm and almost loses it. So I don't know if that's just a reference or foreshadowing, but
I think that was just a joke, right?
I don't know.
Like a reference joke. Like, you could lose this arm, and then they're like, we're not going to give her a fucking robot arm. Like, why would we do that?
They might. You never know. They never know.
I suppose.
Anyway, so Iron Fist. The trailer for that came out. We'll probably talk about this briefly in the next Unpop as well, but since we're here, looks good. There isn't a lot in it. You see, oh god, I don't even know his name. Is it Danny? Is Iron Fist's name Danny?
Yeah.
You see that. Looks like he gets in a plane crash and lost in sort of the mountains with some monks. Looks like he's going to get trained, and also he has some sort of chi connection to the Iron Fist thing, and he can have super strength every once in a while. So
chi connection.
Well, they call it chi. They call it chi.
I'm not making fun of you. It's just, yeah. Come on.
No, I get it.
We got chi. Is he an airbender?
No, he's not. Oh man, I want to see Aang in the Marvel universe. Actually, no, he'd get killed immediately. Never mind. Guns exist in the real world. So
yeah, he's not invulnerable to shit, is he?
Iron Fist
is just punchy.
I think he's just punchy. So,
okay, so he's like Daredevil, but extra punchy. What's Daredevil gonna do now? Then is he just a ninja? Then is he relegated to recon suddenly?
I think he's gonna be the Batman. He's gonna be the tactician. He's going to be the Batman.
Don't kill him. And Luke Cage is like, I wasn't going to. I'm a nice person. He's like, we don't struggle with that. You're the only one. You're weird. Jessica Jones is like drinking stuff. Why is she part of the Defenders? That doesn't make sense. We'll
I
see what
assume
happens.
I think they'll put it together well. I think what's gonna happen is she will be brought in as purely an investigator to help them with something, but then something will happen and they'll discover she also has powers, and I don't know.
Yeah,
Honestly, it's gonna
maybe.
be a lot of Claire. Claire's gonna bring them together, most likely.
Why can't it be Foggy instead?
Why can't Foggy be in the Defenders?
Why does it have to be Claire? Like, I know why. At this point, it makes sense because she's like stitching every single person up. But like, why did it have to be her?
I don't understand why you're so anti-Claire. You liked Claire before.
I'm not anti Claire. I'm anti forcing her into a storyline that doesn't make sense. Like, and then she got called the Night Nurse.
Yeah, she did.
Like, who says that?
Yeah, I don't know.
They call him Power Man a lot too, and Pops did it as a nickname, and then someone else just started calling him that.
I hate the name Power. I've always hated the name Power Man for Luke Cage, even way before the show.
But it was like a cute Pops nickname thing at first, and then someone else goes, "Yeah, Power Man."
Well, I think other people in the bar, he's known. The barber shop was known. People probably heard.
Sure, but like you've already made the fucking reference. Like, kill it. There's only a few things that bug me, but they really bugged me. Yeah. So now is Claire going to be with Luke Cage then? And does that mean Jessica Jones is going to be with Luke Cage?
No, he'll end up with Jessica Jones. That's in the comics. They have a kid, so they wouldn't stray that far. They'll stray, because it is different, but they wouldn't stray that far from the source material. They'll end up together eventually.
Can we kill the big-eared redhead?
She's in the Punisher, so no.
Can the Punisher kill her?
I doubt it.
Can he? All right, so she's gonna get some Punisher dick, I guess. Is there another character that she turns into where she kills a bunch of people? Because she's already killed one guy. Is her character just gonna be this boring piece of shit forever?
Well, in the comics, she gets AIDS, so
she gets actual AIDS in the comics.
She gets AIDS in the comics.
I made an AIDS joke about Zip, but now it's possible to get someone to get killed from AIDS. That should happen. That should definitely happen. Man. She killed Wesley, who is obviously better than her.
Yeah. You think the Punisher also calls his dick the Punisher?
Tiny Punisher. Or Big Punisher. No, that was a rapper. Anyways, did you see what they were at the Comic-Con panel thing? They kind of showed a clip. I don't know if that leaked. I don't even know if anyone like actually videoed it this time, which is weird for a Comic-Con. But they talked about it. And he like walks in, and they may have released it since, but he walks into the building and is asking for someone who I think was his dad, and then he beats up a security team.
Who, Iron Fist?
Yeah. They showed actual clips from I think this is probably the first episode. And so it sounded like we're going to get kind of a mix between Jessica Jones bravado and Daredevil fights, which could be a nice mix, because I think this is like the first one. This is the first series that was just like they didn't fight that much, right? There was like 4 fights in this.
Well, yeah, there was probably less fighting. There was less fighting, right? Yeah,
I don't know. It didn't seem like there was a lot. It seemed like the end, and then episode 3, and then like some in the middle.
I mean, there's a lot of him getting shot at, but.
There was a lot of him getting shot at.
You know what? I actually heard a really good theory, or not theory, just an idea for the Defenders. Like there's going to be a big hallway fight, like the ultimate hallway fight is what they want to happen in Defenders. Where Luke Cage is out front, and there's a bunch of people at the end of the hall shooting at them, and he's like blocking the bullets, and then behind is like Jessica, all of them fighting. Basically, Jessica Jones pulling people through walls, and Iron Fist also doing that, where Daredevil's taking on people from the back ninja style. That'd be pretty sweet, but I don't know. They gotta do a hallway fight, right? They gotta.
Is that a thing that they're self-aware of at this point? The hallway fights?
Oh, they mustn't. They gotta know. They did it in Daredevil season 2. They know. They know, and they did it in Luke Cage. They know. They know.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope for an ultimate hallway fight then. That'd be great. That would be great. Is there anything else to talk about this? Like, we could field questions at this point.
Yeah, anyone ask anything, because we're about wrapping up here. There isn't a lot to talk about in the show. If you for some reason sat through this even though you haven't seen it, and you like the other Marvel shows, our review doesn't sound like glowing, but it's totally worth watching. It's still a good show. It's just that
if
the
I'm
bar
gonna
was
rank
really
them,
high.
it goes Daredevil season 1, then Jessica Jones, then Daredevil season 2, then Luke Cage, and then like every other superhero show you've ever seen, and at the very bottom is Flash.
I've heard
right
Arrow's
above,
way worse.
Right above Flash is Cancer.
I
liked Arrow better, at least from what I saw.
I heard it got really bad. I heard it got really, really
Flash is
bad.
not doing this weird Flashpoint bullshit, and then they're doing the like Heroes of Tomorrow, and it's just, and now he's Supergirl is shit. Ugh. Stop.
I get why some people like it. I can't handle the super campy Supergirl. I watched the first episode of Supergirl. Oh my god,
fucking grating.
And Jimmy Olsen's like
every episode is just like, I have girl problems. Let's cry about it. It's like, she's a trope now. She's no longer interesting. She's just a cry girl.
And for some reason, every episode of the DC, or every series of the DC shows on the CW, they think every superhero needs like a team of 3 friends at a base constantly working
talking
for them.
to them while they do things. It doesn't make sense.
Why?
It's just formulaic and bullshit. Like, this is why I don't like Karen, because she's just always crying. Like, all women are fucking pieces of shit that can't handle anything. Like, Jessica Jones, I like so much because she was no longer a trope. She was actually affected by real shit and was dealing with it. Not Karen, who's like, I killed a guy. Like, she was, like, Jessica Jones was literally life raped for months. And you're crying about self-defense killing? Fuck you, Karen. Die of AIDS.
Anyway, questions. Can I suck on your tooth hole? Yes, you can.
I don't have any teeth holes. I have the best teeth.
Why doesn't Jake's video have a banner? Because he had to bail out and come back because the internet is garbage.
It's not garbage. I don't know. I saw you the whole time. It's super weird.
No one else saw you.
I don't know. I don't know.
Let's see. Lots of comments. Hugo, do you have AIDS? Not to my knowledge. Why do you hate the name Power Man? It's just Luke Cage is better. He's a public figure. People know who he is. You know what I mean?
Power Man.
Say
Power Man out loud.
It's terrible. It doesn't describe him at all.
Mega Man villain.
Power Man's the kind of name you would give to someone like a Superman ripoff character, a bad Superman ripoff character.
Power Man's the name you give someone when you run out of creativity.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's got powers and is also a man. Power Man? Like, Spider-Man isn't any better, but he's just been around since forever, so we allow it. 70s, you don't get a pass on that. Power Man?
Spider-Man was only like 10 years before that, so
that's fine. Doesn't matter.
Thoughts on Misty Knight's unlikability? That's interesting. I get why you might think that, but I understood her motivations at the time.
She was supposed to be unlikable at points, though. Like, that was intentional. It wasn't like she just like they wrote it wrong. It was obvious you weren't. She's not supposed to. There's this idea that every cop in a TV show that you like is supposed to be just this super cop, and I don't like that. I liked this version of Misty. It was just like she fucked up a bunch.
Yeah,
like she let that, what was it, Dana or something, or Candace? She died because of Misty because she didn't fucking trust the system, which is kind of the point in the writing of that, where even the cop doesn't trust the system, but if she would have, it would have been okay. It's kind of a narrative like, yes, some cops are shit, but like the system's still there to protect people.
Sure.
So if you like, there's a bell curve to it where if you don't trust it too much, it really, really is bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I thought that was interesting, and I liked her, and I like Scarf too. I thought their interactions was part of the best stuff from the first half of the season. It felt like 2 different people wrote the season, though.
Yeah,
right.
It did.
Like once Cottonmouth died, it went in this other direction.
Yeah. Capes and Tights. I think the show is worse than The Flash. You are wrong. You are wrong.
Well,
I don't even know how you can even
unsubscribe, leave, kill yourself, bleach, burn your house down around you. Nothing about your life should exist after having that opinion, because like it's no good for humanity. It's no good. It's like that's the type of like that's that's how we get to like Planet of the Apes apocalypse type shit, is people having that kind of a wrong opinion. Like this is like weapons in the wrong hands sort of opinions. You can't have that opinion. That's just not a valid one.
Yeah.
Maybe you were high.
What do you look forward to in Jessica Jones season 2? That's a good question. I hope they go for more of a kind of what the comics did, the Alias comics that Bendis did, which are excellent. You should pick them up if you haven't read them, or download them. I don't care. I don't work for Marvel. And in the comics, the Purple Man stuff doesn't really come into play until the final volume, and it's, you know, it explores her backstory, but the first 3 volumes are just about her taking different cases, different super cases, basically, and they can't do it as much because they don't have the time to introduce a bunch of new superheroes. I get it, but I hope it's kind of along those lines where she's more investigating different super crimes, and then maybe there's an overarching plot of some sort. But that's what I hope for.
I would like to see her do some different crimes, and maybe you could do it kind of like vignettes, like every 3 episodes is like the start, middle, and end of a thing. And then it could kind of like wrap up in a bow. Like I just binge watched, because I just got HBO Now. Yeah. Oh, wait, HBO Go? HBO Now. Which one's the not shitty one?
Now is the one where you don't need a subscription via cable, I think. That's
the one I got. Although I do have HBO on TV right now. But anyways, I'm not going to. But I binge watched True Detective. And it was one case, but it kind of like it looped around, and it was a very, very good sort of, I don't know. It allowed the audience to kind of piece stuff together as well, and I like that when you it's not just a twist that comes out of nowhere that you didn't have all the information. It kind of gives you the information, and if you're perceptive enough, you notice shit. So I think maybe if she was in like a sort of a season-long caper, and it could be totally like laden with all sorts of Marvel references. I mean, you got tons of stuff that you could do, especially in New York. So I'm really hoping for a very investigative kind of approach to it. Because I think some of the best stuff about Jessica Jones the first time around was the that girl that ended up shooting her parents in the hallway or something. She was on a missing persons case. It's like 3 episodes, right? Yeah, and it was pretty interesting, and I thought that was like a really, really good high point. So yeah, I don't know. I like her kind of version of espionage and subversion, where she, you know, where she dresses up like the nurse and acts all bubbly and happy, and then I don't know. Kristen Ritter does a really good job. I'd really like to see more of that shit.
Let's see, more questions.
Well, I shut that off, so you're gonna have to read all of them.
Okay, I'm looking for a decent one.
Oh, that doesn't speak well of most of you.
Did you guys watch the Power Rangers trailer? Did you? I told you about it.
I did not watch the Power Rangers trailer yet, but we will be talking about that on the next Unpop episode. Okay. You can talk about it now.
Briefly, I'm still on the fence. I don't know, because sometimes trailers, this feels like a trailer that doesn't really represent the movie well, because I can see some interesting performances and stuff in it.
Like a trap?
I can't tell, because no, I think the trailer, it makes the movie not look as good as it is. I feel like I can see a better, because the trailer almost makes it seem like this generic teen, not like Hunger Games, but you know, that genre almost, where there's a
Maze Runner,
kind of. But it doesn't. It feels like the person who was making the trailer was told by an executive to make the movie look like that. It doesn't look like the actual movie is like that, if that makes sense.
Sure, that makes sense.
And some people have been complaining because in the trailer you see him get the power coins, although they're not actual coins now. They're coin shaped, and it looks like there's something in them, but they're like chunks of meteor. It gives them powers before they even have the suits. Like, they have power before then. Some people don't like that. I don't mind. I don't think that's a ridiculous change, especially because in the show they fought putties off all the time, depowered, so whatever.
Yeah, I always thought that kind of there was an inherent upgrade with having that.
Yeah.
And then when you got the suit, it was obviously more.
Yeah, and then you kind of see Bulk for a second. I guess they don't name him, but it's the bully, so I'm assuming it's Bulk. I didn't see Skull, though. They better not get rid of Bulk and Skull and just consolidate
it. No, they have both of them. I thought they were both confirmed.
Okay, so you see Bulk, and that's all right, because he tries to, like, beat up Billy. He tries to headbutt him, but by that point, Billy has the power, and so he tries to headbutt Billy, but Billy doesn't move at all, and it just bulk passes out. That's kind of funny.
Oh, that's definitely more powered.
Yeah. What else? Rita looks how she does in the posters and stuff. Whatever. We don't
This
see
is
Zordon.
done by Legendary, right?
Yes. The command center looks cool. I think what we see the inside of the command center, that looks pretty cool. When they're about to get their actual power.
This doesn't excite me at all.
It'll be watchable, but I don't think it's going to be great. Let's see. What else?
Was there no Zord?
You didn't see it, no. This is just a teaser, though. The trailer will probably...
That's what I want to see, is the Zord.
Someone says, Hugo, will you please move to the West Coast? Probably.
Well, it's not really the West Coast, is it?
You're like one state away, aren't you?
It's mountain time, though. It's not Western time, so it doesn't count.
Closer to the West than I am now.
I could drive an hour and go buy weed, though. Allegedly.
Let's see.
Actually, I might go. Where TJ and I are talking about hanging out because he lives in Seattle, which isn't very far away. So
yeah. I'm sorry, I'm reading the questions. I'm seeing.
You're very slow at reading, and it's embarrassing to me.
Well, you could have done it.
No, I couldn't. I kept it open and it shut my thing off twice. So.
I don't know. I'm not seeing any really good ones anymore. That are pretty much.
Wow, you guys really brought the hurt today with those questions.
No, some of them are funny, but like not actual questions I can answer.
That's a version of like a pity laugh you just gave them.
Yeah, pretty much. Someone asked about Moon Knight, doing a Moon Knight show. I trust them to do pretty much any show they want at this point, even if I'm not like a huge fan of the character.
Wait,
I don't know. Confirmed? No,
I heard rumblings.
Maybe there was also, I guess, Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has done so well, they're thinking about giving him a Netflix show now.
And Netflix I have more faith in than fucking like ABC or whoever's in charge of that shit.
They're also talking about a Blade series at this point, which interesting.
Blade would be cool. So would Constantine.
That'd be a great series.
Constantine would be fucking rad.
That's
just DC. I know. Who cares?
Okay, they did a Constantine TV show. It got canceled.
Right. Like do a good one on Netflix.
Constantine's going into the movies. They're doing Justice League Dark, and Constantine's in that, so he's going to be in the movies.
They're doing Justice League Dark?
Yep.
Can't they pull off a good movie before you commit to Justice League Dark?
Yeah, I agree.
Like, are they also going to do like Blackest Night and fucking? They're probably. I hope for some Flashpoint stuff out of Justice League, which I think we're going to get roughly because they're doing alternate universe versions of both.
Maybe so. I think they'd save that for the Flash movie, but let's see. Anyway, with the characters they may have, they're rumored they could make a cool team on their own with Blade, Moon Knight, not Knight Rider, Ghost Rider, and
Knight Rider, fucking David Hasselhoff. That'd be great. And, what are you, a flame motorcycle guy? I'm David Hasselhoff.
And maybe
Germany.
And then maybe like the Punisher or someone. I don't know. They could make a cool anti-hero team and do a team.
I'm interested to see the role Punisher has moving forward. If they're doing Defenders, is Punisher going to be a part of that in any way?
He'll be a cameo probably. He won't be one of the Defenders, but they'll probably help him out at some point or give him some intel.
He would murder everyone.
Well, I know that's why I'm saying it'll be a cameo. He's not going to be actually in the fight. I assume at some point they'll need some intel, and Daredevil will find him because Daredevil and him already have a relationship. And
I just want to see Luke Cage bend one of Punisher's guns and see what he does.
I'd kind of like to see that too. That'd be funny. It'd be actually.
I want to see a Daredevil and Iron Fist fight as well.
You know what I want to see actually, which would make a lot of sense in Defenders. There's a fight and Luke Cage gets all shot up and his shirt is messed up, and then he's like, man, and Daredevil's like, man, you must spend a lot of money on shirts. And he's like, oh yeah. And then he's like, I'll get you a guy. And then maybe
the yellow shirt.
Melvin makes him a shirt he doesn't need to be bulletproof, but the shirt itself doesn't get damaged when it gets shot, and that'll be his yellow shirt. That'd be kind of neat.
No, actually, it could be a protection against the Judas bullets.
Oh, maybe that'd be good. Let's see what else. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind TV series on Netflix. I didn't hear it was on Netflix.
That's gonna be a TV series. It better be one season.
Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna do that.
Like if it was like 6 episodes and it was just a really good miniseries, cool. But past the, like, how long can you milk these are memories of my girlfriend? Like that Jim Carrey movie is one of the better movies he's ever done.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it needs to be a show. Actually, they were talking about doing a Truman Show TV series as well at some point, but
We talked about that. Is that shelved or what?
I haven't heard anything. It was just very preliminary, like one of those things that gets passed around but isn't like concrete. So
I mean, that
it never even went.
a little cool, but it just depends on how far you go.
Yeah, I agree. But are there any non-Defenders characters you'd like to see a Netflix take on? Good question. I mean,
there's lots of Marvel characters.
We already talked about Ghost Rider, but I'd like to see Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider, not the current one that's on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I have no problem with that character. That's the newest version of Ghost Rider. That's fine. I just would like to see the Johnny Blaze one. What other Marvel characters? I got to think about this now. She-Hulk, although the budget, that would never work.
Oh, that'd be Supergirl immediately.
In an ideal world, Deadpool, but that wouldn't happen, especially for not just for rights reasons, but just they wouldn't get away with it even on Netflix.
You don't think they'd get away with it? I mean, they have like softcore porn on Netflix.
That's fair, I guess.
I mean, I don't think the rating would be the thing. I think Ryan Reynolds' price tag would be the thing.
Yeah.
Although he might be totally down for that shit. He's super cool about that. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out what kind of Marvel characters,
because a lot of them really do need a movie treatment.
If they redid it, would be okay.
Maybe.
Like they'd have to, because he's not. They don't have the rights to it. It's still Fox, but because that's still separate universe, you could totally pull that off.
Sure. Oh, someone asks, which folder do you find Netflix porn? It's a French film called Love. It's not very good. The director's done other good stuff, but that movie's not very good. But it's full on. The actors are actually fucking each other.
There's other ones. I mean, there's Nympho, and there's like it's all of them suck. It's like something you get excited about if you're like 13, which you probably are, so it's fine. I mean, Punisher was the one that I was looking forward to the most.
Yeah, they're pretty much nailing it right now. I mean, I'm sure if you presented me with a list of more obscure Marvel characters, actually, let me Google this right now. I'm actually
Venom would be cool. I mean, they're kind of doing all these in cinematic, so it's hard to pick them apart.
Right.
Fantastic Four as a series might work way better.
Yeah,
because they're kind of campy and fun, and if you could kind of, I don't know, chip away at that instead of just here's the origin story again. Spider-Woman or Spider-Gwen might be all right.
They can't do Spider-Gwen yet. He doesn't even know Gwen Stacy yet, so as far as we know.
That's right, I guess. But Moon Knight's probably the one that I most would look forward to out of the obscure ones, because all the other ones are either in the MCU or they've already done them. Like, there's really not a huge list, and like a Venom and Carnage thing would be interesting, but it would be, there's not a lot that you can do there.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Moon Knight's the one that no one really knows about, but he's as close as you can get to Batman. That's not Daredevil. So I think if you did that right, and you never called him Moon Knight necessarily, you could call the series Moon Knight, like they call it Daredevil, but they rarely call him Daredevil. You could make that work. I think that's fun.
Sure. I think that's it. I think we're good. We talked about Luke Cage. Is there anything else you want to get out about the any of the Marvel stuff that you look forward to? Not particularly. Honestly, some people have this whole superhero fatigue thing. I absolutely don't. I could watch another 20 years of Netflix Marvel shows and movies, and I'd be happy.
Well, as long as the writing stays consistent, it doesn't really matter that they're superheroes to me. It's just interesting to kind of, like, Marvel does such a good job consistently that's why I want superhero stuff, is because Marvel does a good job with it. Like, Daredevil could be anything, but it benefits from being in that universe because Marvel's done such a good job. Does that make sense? It could just be Blind Ninja Guy, and we could all, watch that. It could be the exact same thing and not have any of the licensing, and it would still be good. But the references that you can make to the Marvel stuff, it just makes it feel like a more whole universe, and I like that. So
Sure. So I guess that's it. We'll be back, I think, probably a week after the 19th, because that's when Black Mirror comes out. I assume we'll do one of these out of Netflix's Black Mirror.
sure.
What's the word? Not reboot. Continuation. They picked it up from Channel
How many
4.
episodes are there?
6, and then they're doing another series of 6 later next year.
All right, I guess I'll watch all 6.
Yeah. And then
also, I feel like something else comes out soon, but I could be totally.
Doctor Strange, I think, is the next thing that's
When's Doctor Strange come out?
Next month.
All right.
Not sure what day. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. What day? Is it saying? Is it saying it all?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Let me look. He'll show up. November 4th.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. So that's pretty soon. It's crazy. The amount of Marvel stuff we're getting next year is crazy. Have you looked at the list?
Oh, there's so many Marvel things.
3 Marvel Netflix shows. They're also doing Cloak and Dagger TV show. I don't know if that's on Netflix or what.
Cloak and Dagger?
Yeah, their character Cloak like wears a cloak and then can make like portals to anywhere. Like
Cloak wears a cloak. Nice.
And Dagger can make energy daggers. And they're
so Doctor Strange, November 4th. Then we got Guardians 2, May 5th. Spider-Man Homecoming, July 7th. Thor Ragnarok, which actually looks like a good Thor, November 3rd. And then Black Panther next February 16th. So, I mean, that's that, or the not next February, the February after. That's 4 next year. Shit, man. No, that doesn't include the Marvel series. That doesn't include DC movies, which could be good.
Okay.
The Batman ones look like they're going to be good. So we'll see if they. I don't think Sony's going to back down at this point. I think they're just full steam ahead, and they're like, "Fuck it, people don't know what they want." Yeah, Warner Brothers. I'm sorry. Also confirmed, Suicide Squad Ultimate Edition.
Oh my god, I saw that. I'm so pissed off.
You knew it was gonna fucking happen too. Like,
fuck it. I'm not buying movie deals.
I'm not buying that shit either. But we will do another review of it.
Oh my god, are we?
Well, I'm gonna watch it because I have to know. I have to.
Here's the thing, though. It's not even like an extra half an hour like Batman v Superman. It's like an extra 10 minutes.
If it's only an extra 10 minutes, I might not watch it. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, someone said this is actually an interesting question. Last question for real. What do you think about Howard the Duck Netflix series? I love that idea because Howard the Duck could do a lot of funny stuff and make fun of the Marvel universe, but they could never afford a full CG character like in Guardians of the Galaxy for 13 episodes. Not for a character like Howard the Duck that has to be walking around as the main character and look reasonably well. No.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you had Marvel pay for a lot of that, I mean, maybe it'll work out.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't work.
Yeah, I don't know if I want a Howard the Duck thing anyways, though, because I think that sounds like a, haha, we're making fun of ourselves, but they don't know how to.
Nah, I'd trust it. I'd trust him at this point. I'd check it out. But anyway.
I'd check it out, but I don't think it'd be good. Anyways.
All right. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you guys the next live show in a couple weeks for Black Mirror. Check out our videos up until then. I'm sure there'll be plenty of trailers and stuff we'll be talking about. We'll probably talk about the Iron Fist trailer again, the Power Rangers trailer, and whatever else happens in the next week in this shit. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah. The world?
Yeah. Yeah.
Life.
You know.
Life is shit.
So until next time, I'm Hugo.
I'm Jake.
On Popular Culture. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night. Enjoy the debate. Try not to drink bleach.